My name is Melinda. I'm sitting in a police station right now, my hands still shaking uncontrollably. Just a few hours ago, my entire world was turned upside down. I was at a Starbucks, about to open a box that a terrified delivery driver had given me with a cryptic warning. Little did I know that what was inside would shatter my sense of safety and plunge me into a nightmare. 6 months ago, I moved into a cozy townhouse in San Francisco after ending a 3-year relationship with my ex-boyfriend, Jake. I was 32 at the time, and I worked as a freelance web designer from home. I craved independence and a fresh start. I wanted to prove to myself that I could make it on my own. My younger brother Ethan lives in Los Angeles, about a 5-hour drive away. We text each other almost every day, sharing funny memes and complaining about work. My parents, Henry and Grace, are retired and live in a small beach town in Florida. They're very protective of me and always worry about me living alone, but they also understand my need for space. I loved my new place. It was a quiet townhouse community where nothing exciting ever happened. The most interesting thing that week was Mr. Thompson next door getting a new puppy. I decorated the place just the way I wanted it, with plants everywhere, fairy lights in the living room, and my favorite art prints on the walls. It was my sanctuary. My daily routine was simple and predictable. I'd wake up around 9, make a cup of strong coffee, and then start working on my web design projects. If the weather was nice, I'd take a short walk around the neighborhood during my lunch break. After work, I'd order dinner and watch some TV before going to bed. Ethan would always call me boring, but I loved the peace and quiet. After 3 years of dating Jake, who was extremely possessive and always needed to know where I was, this boring routine felt like freedom. Our breakup wasn't a big fight. I just realized one day that I was more stressed than happy in the relationship. When I told him it was over, he took it surprisingly well. He said he wanted me to be happy and that we could still be friends. We hadn't talked since then, and I thought it was for the best. It was a Wednesday in late October. Wednesdays were my favorite workdays because I didn't have any client meetings. I'd been working from home for 4 days straight, barely leaving the house except to pick up food deliveries. My desk was covered in sketches, and my laptop was running hot. I had a true crime podcast playing in the background. Looking back, the irony of that now is not lost on me. That day started like any other. I woke up, made my coffee, and sat down at my desk to work on a website design for a local bakery. They wanted something warm, inviting, and easy to navigate. I'd already gone through 20 different versions, but none of them felt right. Around noon, I took a break and scrolled through social media. Ethan had posted a picture of him at a concert in LA with his friends. My mom had shared a video of a recipe she'd never actually make. It was just a normal, boring day, and I was perfectly okay with that. I ordered lunch from a nearby Italian place. Spaghetti with meatballs and a side salad. The delivery guy left it on my porch, as usual. I ate it while watching a YouTube video about the latest web design trends. I finished working around 6 and made myself a cup of tea. I settled onto my couch with a book I'd been meaning to read. I had no idea that in less than 24 hours, I'd be sitting here in this police station, learning that someone had been watching me for weeks and had even been inside my home while I slept. At around 3 p.m., the doorbell rang, cutting through the quiet hum of my laptop and the podcast. I wasn't expecting anyone, but I had ordered some new software for my design work earlier in the week, so I thought it might be the delivery. I saved my work, stretched, and walked to the door in my sweatpants and an old hoodie. When I opened the door, there was no one there. Just a plain brown cardboard box on my welcome mat. There was no logo, no shipping label, just my name, Melinda, written in thick black Sharpie across the top. Something about seeing my name like that, so personal and deliberate, made my stomach turn. As I bent down to pick up the box, I heard quick footsteps on the sidewalk. I looked up and saw a man in a black hoodie walking fast towards a black van parked at the curb. He wasn't running, but he was moving like he didn't want to be seen. "Hey, excuse me," I called out. "Is this from you?" He stopped and turned around slowly. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with fear. He looked to be in his late 30s, and he seemed like he hadn't slept in days. "Are you Melinda?" he asked, his voice trembling. I nodded. "Yes, that's me. Did you deliver this?" He shook his head quickly. "No, someone paid me $300 cash to bring this to you. They gave me your address and told me to hand it directly to you and no one else." He glanced down at the box like it was a bomb. "Look, I don't know what's in there, but the guy who gave it to me was really off. He was wearing a long black coat and a hat pulled down low over his face. He met me in a parking lot near the mall. He just walked up, gave me the box and the money, and told me to give you a message." I stepped out onto the porch, my feet cold on the concrete. "What message?" He looked me straight in the eyes, and I could see his hands shaking. He said, "Don't open this inside your house. Go somewhere public, somewhere with cameras." He made me repeat it twice to make sure I got it right. A chill ran down my spine. The air suddenly felt colder, and it had nothing to do with the October weather. Why would he say that? "What's in the box?" The driver started backing towards his van. "I don't know, and I don't want to know. I just do this for some extra cash on weekends." "But you need to listen to him. Don't open it alone or inside." "I'm serious." Before I could ask any more questions, he got into his van and drove away quickly. I stood there on my porch, holding the box with my name on it, delivered by a terrified stranger with a warning from someone who wouldn't show their face. For the first time since moving into this townhouse, I felt truly afraid. I brought the box inside and set it on my kitchen counter. It was light, maybe a pound or two. I shook it gently, but nothing rattled or made a dangerous sounding noise. There were no strange smells or ticking sounds. It just looked like a normal box, but normal boxes don't come with such warnings. I pulled out my phone and texted Ethan. "Weird delivery today." The guy seemed really spooked. "Are you around later?" He replied almost immediately. "In a meeting until 7. Is everything okay?" I stared at the box and typed back, "Yeah, probably nothing." But I didn't believe it for a second. I spent the next half hour pacing around my kitchen, looking at the box like it was a live grenade. I thought about all the possibilities. Was it a prank? Maybe Ethan had put someone up to it, but his concerned text made that seem unlikely. Could it be from Jake? We hadn't spoken in 6 months, and our breakup had been amicable. But now, I started to wonder if his acceptance had been too easy. The delivery driver's warning kept playing in my head. Why would someone want me to open a package in public? The only reasons I could think of were terrifying. Either what was inside would harm me and they wanted witnesses, or it would change everything, and they wanted proof that I'd seen it. I grabbed my phone again and texted Ethan a longer message. The delivery guy said someone paid him cash to bring me a box and told him to warn me not to open it inside. Should I call the police? His reply came back. That's really strange. Maybe call the non-emergency line, but it could be nothing. Don't freak out. It was easy for him to say. He wasn't standing in his kitchen with a mysterious package and a stranger's warning. I thought about calling the police, but what would I tell them? A man delivered a box and seemed nervous? They'd think I was being paranoid. I picked up the box and shook it more carefully, trying to get a clue about what was inside. It was definitely lightweight, and whatever was in there shifted slightly but made no sound. Maybe it was soft items like clothes or papers. The rational part of me said to just open the box and get it over with, but the scared part said to throw it away and pretend it never happened. In the end, the delivery driver's warning won. If someone had gone through the trouble of paying a stranger $300 to deliver the box with specific instructions, it must be important. I decided to go to a nearby coffee shop. There was a popular one on Elm Street, about 15 minutes from my house. It was always crowded with students studying and people working on their laptops. I knew they had security cameras. The drive there was surreal. I kept looking at the box in the passenger seat, my name written in that bold black marker. Every red light felt like it lasted forever, and my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. When I arrived at the coffee shop, I sat in my car for a few minutes, trying to calm my breathing. You're probably overreacting, I told myself. It's probably nothing. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I walked inside. The smell of coffee and freshly baked pastries hit me as the door chimed. I ordered a cappuccino, even though I knew I wouldn't be able to drink it. I found a small table by the window. There were other customers around, a couple having a conversation, a young woman typing on her laptop, and an old man reading the newspaper. I set the box on the table and stared at it. This was it. Whatever was inside was going to change my life. I took a picture of the box with my phone, not really sure what I was gathering evidence for. My hands were shaking as I reached for the packing tape. I peeled it back, and the sound seemed incredibly loud in the busy coffee shop. The first thing I saw inside was a key. A single silver key with a red rubber cap on the end. I recognized it immediately. It was my house key, the spare one I kept in my bedside drawer. I reached in and pulled it out, looking at it in disbelief. Underneath the key was my wallet. The leather wallet I thought I'd lost a few weeks ago. I'd searched everywhere for it, in my car, at all the places I'd been. I'd even canceled my credit cards and ordered a new one. But here it was, in this box. I opened it, and everything was still inside, my driver's license, my credit cards, $52 in cash, and my loyalty card from the coffee shop. I was trying to make sense of it all when I saw what was under the wallet. It was a Polaroid photograph. The image was a bit blurry around the edges, but in the center, it was clear. It was a picture of me asleep in my bed. I was lying on my side, wearing my old pajamas, my hair spread across the pillow. The photo was taken from the foot of my bed, looking down at me. I could see my nightstand with my phone charging, the book I'd been reading, and the lamp I always left on. The sounds of the coffee shop faded away. I felt like I was underwater. My hands started shaking so badly that I almost dropped the photo. Someone had been in my bedroom while I was sleeping. How long had they been there? What else had they done? I flipped the photo over, and written in the same black Sharpie as my name on the box were the words, "Round 2 starts tonight. Hide better this time." My mind raced back through the past few weeks. I'd been feeling exhausted for no reason, sleeping heavily and waking up groggy. I'd thought it was just stress from work, but what if someone had drugged me? I fumbled for my phone and called Ethan. It went straight to voicemail. I tried again, but still no answer. I texted him, "Call me now. Emergency." Then I dialed 911. The operator answered calmly. I tried to explain about the box, the photo, and the key, but my words came out in a jumbled mess. She asked if I was in immediate danger. I said I didn't know. She asked where I was, and I told her the coffee shop on Elm Street. She said officers were on their way and to stay in public until they arrived. 2 police officers arrived within 10 minutes. Officer Johnson was in his 40s, with a serious but kind face. Officer Lee was younger, probably just out of the academy. I showed them everything, the box, the key, the wallet, and the photo. My hands were shaking so much that Officer Johnson had to take the photo from me. They asked me questions, but I could barely answer through my panic. Had I noticed anyone following me? Any strange cars parked on my street? Unusual phone calls? The answer to everything was no. I'd been completely oblivious. When I mentioned Jake, they exchanged a look that made my stomach drop. They asked for his full name, his last known address, and where he worked. I gave them all the information I could remember. Then Officer Johnson said, "Miss Melinda, we're sending officers to your house right now to secure it. You need to come to the station to give a full statement. Based on what you've shown us, someone has had access to your home multiple times. Until we clear your property and change your locks, you can't go back there alone." Just as we were leaving the coffee shop, Ethan called back. I answered and started crying. I told him everything while Officer Johnson drove me to the station. He said he was leaving work immediately and driving up to San Francisco. He told me not to go back to my house and that I was coming to stay with him. At the police station, I spent hours going over everything in detail. They checked my phone records, looked at the security footage from the coffee shop, and asked me about everyone I'd interacted with in the past 6 months. Ethan arrived halfway through. He sat with me, holding my hand when I started shaking again. Then Officer Johnson came back with an update that made me sick to my stomach. They'd searched my house and found small hidden cameras in my bedroom ceiling fan and my closet. I remembered that there had been a maintenance crew in my house a few months ago to fix the fan. I thought nothing of it at the time. Officer Johnson showed me a photo on his tablet. "Do you recognize this person? His name is Victor Reed." I stared at the photo, and my memory clicked. He was part of the maintenance crew. He'd fixed my fan. It all made horrible sense. He'd had access to my house, my keys, and he knew the layout. He'd installed the cameras while I was paying him to make my home safe. Officer Johnson continued, "We found his storage unit. Melinda, there were photographs and personal items from 15 other women. You're not his first victim, but you might be the one who helps us stop him." They issued a warrant for his arrest immediately. They found his last known address abandoned, but they were tracking his car and had officers watching my house. Ethan insisted I pack a bag and come back to LA with him that night. I didn't argue. I didn't want to be anywhere near that house. As we were walking to the car in the police station parking lot, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I should have ignored it, but I answered. "Hello," I said. There was a moment of silence, then heavy breathing. A cold, calm voice said, "You opened it in public. Smart girl. But round 2 doesn't end just because you called the cops. Melinda, it ends when I say it ends. See you real soon." The line went dead. I dropped my phone on the ground. Officer Johnson ran back inside to trace the call. Ethan wrapped his arms around me as I broke down completely. Within 24 hours, they found Victor Reed at a cheap motel on the outskirts of the city. When they searched his room, they found ropes, duct tape, a knife, and a printed map with my parents' address in Florida circled in red. He'd been planning to escalate and hurt not just me but my family. I never went back to that townhouse. Even after they removed the cameras and changed the locks, I couldn't sleep there, knowing he'd been watching me. Ethan helped me break my lease and move my stuff to LA. I found a new apartment near his place, installed a security system with cameras, and started seeing a therapist twice a week to deal with the nightmares and the constant feeling of being watched. Victor Reed is awaiting trial on multiple charges, including stalking, breaking and entering, illegal surveillance, and attempted kidnapping. The prosecutor is confident they have enough evidence to put him away for a long time. But that doesn't change what happened. I've lost my sense of safety, and it's a long road to recovery. The main lesson I've learned from this nightmare is to trust your instincts. The delivery driver could have just handed me the box and left, but he listened to his gut feeling and warned me. I almost didn't listen. I almost opened that box alone in my house. If I had, I don't know what would have happened. Take threats seriously, no matter how small they seem. I ignored all the warning signs, my missing wallet, my unexplained exhaustion, and the feeling of being watched. All of it was real. And finally, you don't owe anyone access to your life, your time, or your space. I was polite to Victor during the maintenance work because I didn't want to seem rude. That politeness almost cost me my life. If you found this story helpful, or if it made you think twice about your own safety, please subscribe to my channel. I share these stories because they matter, and they could help someone recognize the warning signs before it's too late. Leave a comment and tell me.